Hi there, Brian back again. We're up to episode 4. Well, yeah, number 4 of Lists from My Living Room. Today I'm going to be reviewing the studio albums of Kiss, one of my favorite bands, even still today. Not in its current incarnation, but more on that later. I'll get the usual out there that I say every show. It's more a list of what my favorite is. It's not necessarily a list to say this album is better than this one or this one, but in some cases, of course, that would be true. But there's always going to be certain albums on my lists that, for whether it's a sentimental reason or it's just one that I like particularly, and it winds up higher than what other people might consider like a classic album by that band or artist. So yeah, no best ofs. Otherwise, we could do an entire other show with Kiss because no band has ever repackaged old music for their fans the way Kiss does. Let's face it, these guys are the kings of marketing. They get a lot of criticism for that. It's one of the aspects of the band that I could do without. I don't really need to see Kiss condoms and Kiss caskets and everything like that, but it's a free market economy. You gotta give them that. Gene knows how to market the band. Also, no live albums. And if there was ever a band that I could make an argument for outside of the MC5, whose first album was a live album, to include a live album, it would be Kiss. Because Kiss Alive, in my opinion, the best live album ever. And we can debate on how much of it was live. A lot of people want to suggest it was all recorded in studio, which is not the case. But there's a lot of overdubs on it. But that album really was what propelled the band to mega stardom. And up to that point, they were just about ready to be dumped by their record company, Casablanca. And so they managed to get that live Kiss concert feel onto vinyl. It does a great job at that. But I'm not going to be including it in here, but it would be one band that I could make the argument for. So with Kiss, I am not going to include the 4 solo albums. Back, I think it was 77, around there. They did 4 solo albums, one for each member of the band. Sorry guys, I just knocked my notes over. So technically they aren't Kiss albums, even though they have the Kiss logo on them, but they were simply titled Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, Peter Criss, Paul Stanley. But I will just say, let's go through these very, very quickly. It's going to be a long show because there's a lot of albums to go through. But as far as the solo albums, if I was going to do them, well, Dead Last would be Peter's. It's terrible. I got no use for it. I don't know what kind of music he was going for on that. It's just boring. Gene would be next. Gene's is better. It's got some pretty good music on it here and there. It's also got some weird selections. Like he does a When You Wish Upon a Star, I believe is. Let me just grab it again. Yeah, When You Wish Upon a Star is on it. Don't know why he would choose that. A big jump I find from those two to the next one. Paul Stanley would be the next one. Paul does what Paul does on this really well. He's got some really good songs on here. It's Alright. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? Goodbye. There's good songs on this. But way above them all, and I can't believe I don't own this on vinyl, is Ace's album, Ace Frehley. The best one of the bunch by far. Really had the only hit. That was his copy of or his cover of New York Groove, song that you'll hear either the original or Ace's more often. Ace's at countless New York sporting events. Lots of songs on Ace's album that are still in his live show. Anyway, like I said, I'm making this longer than it needs to be, so we're going to get right to it. I do have my notes. I always put them here just so I can reference dates and things. So let's get started. Coming in at number 20 is the last album from the band that they put out, Monster. I don't have a real problem with the music on here. It's actually not bad. It's from 2012. It's rocky music. It's good rock music. Paul and Gene know what they're doing after all these years. There's no ballady stuff on it. But I really have an issue with this version of the band that keeps me from enjoying it as much as I might. And that is simply when you take Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer, a good drummer, Eric Singer, and you put them in Ace and Peter's makeup. That bothers me. You could have given them new makeup the way you did with Vinnie Vincent and the way you did with Eric Carr. But they chose not to, and the band made all kinds of excuses as to why they didn't do that. It rubs me the wrong way. So I'm not going to go over the songs. It just doesn't work for me. Same can be said, Sonic Boom. They try to revisit the past with the album cover designed by the same people, I guess. I don't know if it's the same person, but it's supposed to be reminiscent of Rock and Roll Over from the heyday. But it's got okay song. Modern Day Delilah is a pretty good song. Again, there's no ballad songs on here. Just kind of straight ahead rock. But same issue. Take the makeup off, do something, give them new makeup. I'd probably be a lot more willing to enjoy it. So now, that was number 19. So at 18, it's the album that divides so many Kiss fans. You know what it's going to be. I am on the really don't like it list. That's some music from The Elder. Interesting album cover, and it's got the gatefold, the old vinyl gatefold. But really, aside from a few songs on this, I and The Oath, World Without Heroes. Aside from those songs, there's just nothing that I can sit down and say this is good. This album divided so many of the fans who loved it or hated it. It's pretty much the album that ended the classic band because Ace was so fed up with the music on this that he ever left. I mean, he put aside all the drinking and all the other stuff, but I guess the story was when he got the tape of the album, he put it in, listened to it, and took it out, threw it against the wall or something. He was so disgusted with it. So it's supposed to be a concept album. I kind of get the concept, but there's some real cheese on this too. What is it? It's Odyssey, I think it is. There's just some really over-the-top Paul Stanley vocals that are just hard to take. But that was in at number 18. So we go to from That album was from 1981, by the way. Next, 17. Carnival of Souls. This was an album that was recorded. The sessions were done, I guess, just before the big reunion in 1996. It came out sort of after that reunion. It was still Bruce Kulick was in the band. And there's Eric Singer right there, who's currently in the band, just wearing Peter's makeup. By the way, Bob Kulick, Bruce's brother, who just passed away a couple of days ago, so that was sad to see. Good guitar player. This is pretty heavy, like for Kiss. And there's some decent songs on it, but in a lot of ways, it feels like studio outtakes to me, which is probably kind of what some of this is, and it feels more like another attempt to make some money. Well, we had this sort of in the can, let's put it out. It's good. It's, Rain is a good song, and there's plenty on here that I could say makes the album not horrible, but it's just kind of here and there. Just a little bit ahead of that, and really only because of who's on it, and sort of who's on it. More about that in a minute. Number 16 is Psycho Circus. There's the CD cover. Anyway, this was the reunion album where Peter and Ace had rejoined for the reunion tour. They put the makeup back on and they all went out and did it. But boy, this was kind of disappointing to fans. I was disappointed. I expected with the four of them back together, they would come up with something better than this. The first song, Psycho Circus, I can't even listen to that one anymore. It's just silly. The rest of it's better though. Ace's song, Into the Void, is really good. You Wanted the Best is pretty good. The problem with this one is that at this point it had become Paul and Gene's show, and we saw with this that it wasn't a reunion really. It was Paul and Gene and then some contributions from Peter and Ace on this, and it just makes it less enjoyable. There are songs on here that Ace is not playing guitar on, and that took away from it because I love Ace's playing. So that's where that goes in. Number 15 from 1989. One of the lesser known albums, I think. This is Hot in the Shade. It's a really long album for vinyl. I'm looking at it here. There are 15 songs on this in the days of vinyl, and this is 1989 when I got this. As a result, this is before you had the fancy release vinyl that comes out now. And when you get towards the end of the last tracks on the side, the sound goes off a bit because it's like they're packing it in. It's just compressed in there. Here's the back, but it's solid. It's very 80s, late 80s. It's typical 80s kind of Kiss, a little heavier than stuff that came before it. Very good song Hide Your Heart, which was a hit for them. In my opinion, Ace covers Hide Your Heart on his Trouble Walking album and does it better than Kiss did, even. I like his version better. But it's good, solid 80s metal music. Pop metal, if I would call it pop metal, but I have no problem with that album. I think a lot of people have problems with this album. I like it a lot, to be honest with you. Crazy Nights. This is 87, right? Yeah, 1987. Crazy Nights. There were a lot of 80s hits on here. From Crazy Nights, Reason to Live, Turn on the Night. It's today you listen to it and it's dated. It's a bit dated. It sounds very 80s metal. It's got the keyboards that dominate harsh portions of songs, synthesizers, which I really don't know if you want synthesizers on Kiss songs, but it's solid music. It's a fun album. I find it very fun. Certainly can play that if I'm sitting around having a few. That was 14, Crazy Nights. So number 13, I'm going with Animalize. Yeah, Animalize at 13. This one was from 84. And it's got a terrible album cover. Just brutal. I guess, I get it. The fake fur, Animalize, and all that. But the back, they're looking very, that mid-80s metal look. Great song, though. Heaven's on Fire. Big hit. There's most of the good stuff on this are Paul songs. I've had enough. The lead off song is good. Thrills in the Night, I like it. But Gene's songs are really like Burn Bitch Burn. I just don't get the point of that song. It's just not all that great. But this is the only album to feature Mark St. John on guitar. He replaced Vinnie Vincent. It's enjoyable. Now, a lot of people love this. I'm so-so on it. It's good enough to be kind of in the middle of the pack, coming in number 12. But I don't like it nearly as much as a lot of other people do. Creatures of the Night. In a lot of ways, people considered this to be a bit of a comeback album. It's from 1982. And I think the reason that they say that is that Kiss's popularity had waned quite a bit from what it was in the mid-70s. In the late 70s came along and they lost a lot of fans. Some of that was due to people not liking the music. Some of it was due to the fact that the marketing of the band had kind of turned them into a cartoon character type thing, and that people, as they got older, and they were maybe Kiss fans when they were a certain age, started to feel this backlash that it was a kiddie band, it was for little kids, which I never bought and I've never accepted. This has a harder edge than the albums that came before it, a few of the albums, especially after Music from the Elder. So this was a welcome return for that. But I mean, you have the songs like I Love It Loud, which is a great one of their classics. Saint and Sinner is a good one. Rock and Roll Hell, I like. War Machine, cool song. But then you've got a ballad that I don't care if I ever hear again, is I Still Love You, Paul's ballad. When if I'd go to a live show and he'd start playing that, that was the time to go and hit the washroom, as far as I was concerned. So that's where it comes in, kind of middle of the pack. The next one at number 11. One of the great album covers. I'm just wiping off a little bit of dust off this. I don't know why it's so dusty. But Dynasty. This is a from 1979. I love this album cover. Just so simple with the four of them. Just the faces. In that pose, I have this poster somewhere still. I don't currently have it up on a wall, but it's rolled up somewhere. It's really pretty much the final album that Peter Criss was on, and who knows really how much he played on it. He was really having problems with substance abuse, along with Ace, who was having difficulties with his drinking. But there's good songs on here. Charisma, Sure Know Something, Paul's song. Great version of 2000 Man. Ace does the vocals on 2000 Man, the Rolling Stones song. I prefer Ace's version to the Rolling Stones version. It's got I Was Made for Loving You. Now, that's the song that divided so many Kiss fans. People saying it was a disco song. Oh, it's a Kiss has gone disco. It's a good song. I don't mind it. And I think as the years have gone on, people have come to accept that tune. But back then, boy, it was a big hit. But Kiss traditionalists were like, you can't be kidding with this. And when I first heard it on the radio, I didn't realize it was Kiss, actually. It was, I liked the song okay, but I didn't realize that was Kiss till, the guy comes on and says, that's Kiss. And I was like, what? That was weird. But overall, it's a good album. So this one from '83, look it up. So the band finally decided to ditch the makeup in '83 and put out Look It Up. It was a hit. Like, the album was a hit. Certainly was sold a lot more than what they had been selling in recent albums. And had the gigantic hit, the song Look It Up. All Hell's Breaking Loose is a great song, and also has that cool video, funny video. Exciter, Not for the Innocent. Somebody can explain Dance All Over Your Face to me sometime, but it's the first time that Vinnie Vincent was kind of officially recognized on an album as a member of the band. He had replaced Ace and really was the one who was playing on Creatures of the Night, even though Ace was on the album cover and also featured in the video for I Love It Loud. Wouldn't last long for Vinnie, but a good album. 1992, And this is at number 9, Revenge. And I don't only have this on cassette. I have a CD of it, but I couldn't find it when I looked around. I'm just trying to get it in focus. And I had the cassette, so I wasn't about to waste all my time trying to do that. This was really heavy for Kiss and had several songs that really were different for the band, that like Domino, which was Gene's hit song, which is a really nice tune. Unholy is pretty heavy. Heart of Chrome. It's got God Gave Rock and Roll to You, Part 2, which you either know from the band or you know it from Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. I think that's what. Yeah. Oh, it was a Bogus Journey. It's a good, solid album. It does have Mega Ballad, Every Time I Look at You. It's not their worst ballad. It's actually not bad. But it's a good later career output. If you want to say 1992 is late career, they really haven't made tons of albums since that time. At least not studio albums. Our next one is at number 8, and that is Asylum. Not much of an album cover, but this is as 80s as you want to get, but this one has really good tunes and had some pretty good hits for them. Tears Are Falling, Who Wants to Be Lonely, All Night. Trial by Fire, Gene's song, is actually one of my favorite songs on this album. Gene actually has some pretty good songs on this one. Any way you slice it, it's good, solid 80s rock metal. Produced by Paul and Gene. A lot of people don't like it because it is 80s-ish, but I think that's what I like about it, and it also brings back a lot of memories of that period of time for me. Now, here's one that will surely get people scratching their heads because a lot of people hate this album. I play it all of the time still. I really enjoy it. Unmasked. This one's from 1980. Cool album cover, I like it. And it is in at number 7. Ace's songs on this are really the best songs, and they're songs that Ace still plays a lot in his live shows, where you've got a Torpedo Girl, Two Sides of the Coin, Talk to Me. Those 3 songs, all really good. Gene's song, She's So European, is good. You're All That I Want. Well, I kind of like that. It's also got Is That You to open the song. That's a Paul vocals. Really good. And Shandy. Possibly my favorite ballad of theirs. And it's not really quite ballady, but it's slow enough to, I guess, to call it that. It's very late 80s. Well, it's very early 80s. I shouldn't say late 80s. And it's not nearly as rock as what came before it, but it just all the way through I find enjoyable. A lot of people don't, and that's why I say my list, some stuff is falling there, my list isn't necessarily going to be the same as anyone else's list. So next, at number 6, is the album that starts it all, the debut album, simply titled Kiss. I've got it in the protective bag. It's pretty raw, though, but you can't, in terms of sound, it's not as polished as the band would become. But you have to look at just the songs on it. If you read it, Strutter, Nothing to Lose, Firehouse, Cold Gin, great song. Side 2, though, is where you get Deuce also, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond. I would put this slightly higher just based on the songs, because there are just so many songs on this that are staples of their live show still. But it's the production overall, and it's a little slow. Like, it's not like the songs that's played at the speed that they are live. But it's certainly an album that did not sell particularly well when it first came out. It deserved to sell a lot more than it did. Very good album, actually. At number 5 would be The Follow. It's from 1974. By the way, the debut was from 74 as well. They had 2 albums out in 1974. So Hotter Than Hell. The production overall is better, I find, on this. And again, it's got tons of songs from this album that they still play here and there. I'm looking at the track listing. Gotta Choose, Parasite, Hotter Than Hell, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Watching You, Coming Home. It's stronger than the debut, really, because of the recording and the sound. But it's got the backside of it there with I guess the stories about this shoot where they did these pictures are pretty wild. But I'm way into this, and we got to move along. Oh, now this one here at number 4, Rock and Roll Over. It's from 1976. Cool album cover. Had a lot of big hits for the band. They were really in the period of their career where they were the biggest band in the world, really. But you got songs like Making Love, Take Me, but then big ones, Calling Dr. Love, Ladies Room. Big hit for Peter on this one, Hard Luck Woman. But there's lesser known songs like Mr. Speed. Probably, in the my top 10 favorite Kiss songs of Mr. Speed. It's a good, solid, one of my go-tos still to this day when I need just a little something to pick me up. Excellent. Now we're into what I would say are your all-time classics. So Love Gun is from 1977. It's got that fantastic album cover. An album cover that I'm sure today would bring screams of sexism and all the rest. But the music on this, it's got Love Gun on it. Everyone knows that song. Christine 16, Gene's song, great song. I Stole Your Love. And it's the first album to feature a song with Ace on the vocals, and his best Kiss song, you could argue his best song period, Shock Me. It's an album, I mean, I didn't even mention some of the lesser known songs just for the Got Love for Sale. I like it's just an overall great album. Great packaging. Everything about this was good. Down to the last two. And this was the Mega album, number 2, Destroyer. Again, iconic album cover. They were with Bob Ezrin producing on this one, and they really came up with, I think, what they were probably aiming for was that signature album that would bring them major album sales, because it had just so many hits. I look at this, just the track listing, one after the other. Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Great Expectations, underrated song. Flaming Youth, Sweet Pain, Shout It Out Loud, Beth, their monster ballad hit, which I was never that huge a fan of, but a lot of people love it. Ends with another one of their most underrated songs, Do You Love Me? It's not a whole lot more that can be said about it. It was the one that also came with the Kiss Army stuff. If you were, young, you had this album. Everybody had it. Bring it down to the end of this long journey. My favorite, at number 1, Dressed to Kill. I like everything about this album. It's unfortunate that when it first came out, it didn't get really much notice. But from the great album cover, the reverse on the back, and to the songs, there's not a song on this that I don't like. Right off the bat, this is the album that had Rock and Roll All Night on it, a song that everybody would come to know with the release of the live album, because then it became a big hit. But Paul has really good songs on this one. Room Service, but they're all excellent. Two-Timer, Ladies in Waiting, Getaway, Rock Bottom, up there at the top of my favorite Kiss songs. Come On and Love Me also would be up there. Anything for My Baby, She, which we all know, Love Her All I Can. And then ends with Rock and Roll All Night. It's an album that has the major hits, what would become major hits from their live show. It's also got really good songs that people, lesser known songs that if you weren't a real big fan, you probably aren't aware of, like Room Service, things like that. So that comes in at number 1. My favorite. May not be yours, but it's mine. I apologize for the length, but there's a lot of albums to go through. See if I can edit down a little bit in post. If you like the show, thank you for watching. Maybe let other people know about it if you want. So until next time, thanks for watching. Keep rocking.